This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 649. Does being exceptional require an exceptional amount of work? By Cal Newport of calnewport.com, and I'm Justin Malik, your very own personal narrator. Welcome to the podcast where blogs are read to you so that you can take a break from staring at a screen for once, and it is with permission from the websites. If you're new here, this is one of 5 podcasts where we narrate blogs for you. And I'm going to keep this intro nice and short, so let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Does being exceptional require an exceptional amount of work? By Cal Newport of calnewport.com. The Obama Method. In response to my recent article on misery poker, a reader commented, quote, "I wonder about the really exceptional people. Does Barack Obama build a realistic schedule? Maybe extraordinary stress is required to accomplish extraordinary feats," unquote. Another reader added, quote, "I think extraordinary sacrifices are required for great accomplishments," unquote. This is a fascinating argument. Study hacks, as you know, is driven by the Zen valedictorian philosophy, which claims that it's possible to be both relaxed and impressive. But these commenters are pushing back on this worldview. It's one thing, they note, to have a successful college career that is also relaxed. But is it possible to have an exceptional career without overwhelming amounts of work? In this post, I claim it is possible, and I'll explain exactly how. Barriers and myths. Let's start with the myth that drives most people's thinking about what it takes to be exceptional. The exceptional effort myth. Exceptional results require exceptional amounts of effort. The logic here is obvious. By definition, if something is exceptional, it's also rare. If it's rare, there must be some difficult barrier to achievement. This we can agree on. But what is this barrier? Most people default to the simplest explanation. The barrier that makes exceptional achievement rare is that it requires an exceptional amount of work. This gives us the myth highlighted earlier. For some endeavors, of course, this myth matches reality. For example, number 1, running for president. Number 2, aggressively growing a startup business. Number 3, becoming a standout junior associate at your law firm. These exceptional achievements absolutely require lots and lots of work. Their criteria for success have amount of effort explicitly built in. A young lawyer, for example, is judged almost exclusively on the number of hours he bills. But here's the thing, and this is the important part. I claim that for most exceptional endeavors, an exceptional amount of work is not required. In other words, the barrier to exceptional achievement is not the volume of effort, but something else entirely. The magic of deliberative practice. Last year, Jeff Colvin, a senior editor at Fortune magazine, wrote an article titled, "Why Talent is Overrated." It was a sensation. He received so many letters that he soon expanded the ideas into a full-length book of the same name, which was released last month. At the core of the article was a simple proposition. The real path to great performance is not built on natural talent or volume of hard work. As Colvin describes, recent research has increasingly highlighted instead the importance of a very specific type of work called deliberative practice. Researchers claim that it's this type of practice, not natural talent and not raw hours spent working, that makes the bulk of the difference between exceptional people and the rest. Colvin provides 5 traits that define deliberative practice. Number 1, it is designed specifically to improve performance. Quote, "The essence of deliberate practice is continually stretching an individual just beyond his or her current abilities. That may sound obvious, but most of us don't do it in the activities we think of as practice. At the driving range or at the piano, most of us are just doing what we've done before and hoping to maintain the level of performance that we probably reached long ago," unquote. Number 2, it can be repeated a lot. Quote, "Top performers repeat their practice activities to stultifying extent," unquote. Number 3, feedback on results is continuously available. Quote, "You may believe you played that bar of the Brahms violin concerto perfectly, but can you really trust your own judgment? In many important situations, a teacher, coach, or mentor is vital for providing crucial feedback," unquote. Number 4, it is highly demanding mentally. Quote, "Continually seeking exactly those elements of performance that are unsatisfactory and then trying one's hardest to make them better places enormous strains on anyone's mental abilities. No one can sustain it for very long," unquote. Number 5, it's hard. Quote, Doing things we know how to do well is enjoyable, and that's exactly the opposite of what deliberate practice demands, unquote. I want to draw your attention to point number 4. It is highly demanding mentally. In further explaining this property, Colvin tells a story, quote, Nathan Milstein, one of the 20th century's greatest violinists, was a student of the famous teacher Leopold Auer. As the story goes, Milstein asked Auer if he was practicing enough. Auer responded, "Practice with your fingers and you need all day. Practice with your mind and you will do as much in 1.5 hours." What Auer didn't add is that it's a good thing 1.5 hours are enough, because if you're truly practicing with your mind, you couldn't possibly keep it up all day, unquote. In other words, deliberative practice is hard. It demands we leave our comfort zone. We need expert feedback. We have to return again and again to the same trouble areas to get better. But the one thing it's not is exceptionally time consuming. It can't be. You simply can't keep it up for 12 hours a day. Pulling it all together. I'm fascinated by deliberative practice because it provides a missing piece to our ongoing conversation about becoming a standout. Recall, for example, our discussion of Steve Martin. His path to becoming famous was defined by deliberative practice. Every night he would return to a comedy club and try to push his comedy a little bit further into new territory. This was hard, but instead of defaulting to easy laughs, he relentlessly drove his routine forward. We see similar patterns with our student case studies. While Toph was working in Australia, he kept taking on projects that stretched him beyond his current ability within the marketing field. The result was a rapid rise. When he left, the company begged him to stay. Scott had a similar experience, pushing himself to become an Eastern Europe expert once he arrived at law school. He's now on his way to a Fulbright scholarship. Here's my conclusion. For most endeavors, the path to becoming exceptional requires that, number 1, you focus on one thing and commit to it over a long period of time. Number 2, during this period, you consistently engage in deliberative practice again and again to cause a rapid rise in your ability. This approach is consistent with the Zen valedictorian philosophy. The practice is hard, but short. If you're properly focused and can put in an hour or two of deliberative work on most days, you can become exceptional. Doing more work isn't going to help. Neither will tacking on dozens of other activities or commitments. So if your goal is to become a true star, take a careful look at how you spend your time. Beneath all of your activities and faux busyness, what really matters is the time spent buckling down and putting in the right type of effort to get better at what's most important to you. Everything else is just for show. You just listened to the post titled, "Does Being Exceptional Require an Exceptional Amount of Work?" by Cal Newport of calnewport.com. His posts always make me think, which is why I keep narrating them. I hope you like them too. I'm going to give you a break from promotional stuff today. I actually got to get going anyway. Thank you for being here as always. Have a happy rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.